Skyfall, the Bond movie everyone said was the greatest thing since the invention of the airplane. The movie's so hyped up, I waited 9 years to let the hype die down to watch it, and when I finally did, I still thought it wasn't very good. I don't know, is it Craig, or is he fine, but he just had the rotten luck of being in very awful films? I guess people like that we have a Q and a Moneypenny again, but it would have been nice if they could have returned in a movie that was actually good. This movie has a bad guy named Silva. He used to work for M, and she sold him out to the Chinese government in exchange for some prisoners they had. This is supposed to parallel her giving an order for another agent to take a shot that nearly kills James Bond at the beginning of the movie. But Bond still likes and trusts M, while Silva becomes a terrorist to get revenge against her. The movie wants me to be on M's side, but I'm having trouble with that. Yeah, Silva was apparently breaking the rules, so M justified leaving him to die to save other lives. But isn't James Bond's defining character trait that he doesn't play by the rules? That sounds exactly like what Silva was doing when M left him to die. Then there's what she does with Bond in this movie. She orders an agent to nearly kill him, then when he comes back, she authorizes him to go out in the field when he's pitifully underqualified to do so, which could get himself, other agents, and innocent civilians killed. And the only reason Silva is able to get his revenge on M at all is because of a hard drive with the identities of MI6 agents on it, which M was not supposed to have. Because the hard drive went missing, M goes on trial. Silva goes to kill her. He doesn't succeed there, but still, if it wasn't for the hard drive, presumably, Silva would have had a much harder time getting his revenge. So M is breaking the rules to get the job done, just like the agents who she is willing to throw under the bus when they do the same. And we're supposed to like this woman? I thought it was weird when Bond comes back to work, there's one 30-second conversation about how she nearly got him killed, and that's it. Maybe this kind of thing happens to Bond all the time, but I'd be a little more miffed if that happened to me. I'd especially be frustrated if I found out the guy who killed several of my coworkers is mad because she betrayed him too. I'm not saying this would have made for a better movie, but here's what I would have done if they handed me the basic plot and told me to flesh it out into a full-blown script. When Moneypenny shoots Bond and he falls off the train, instead of some no-name lady saving his life off-screen, he's saved by Silva, or someone who works for Silva. The audience is not going to be fooled by this. Pretty much every Bond movie, you know months before it comes out who the bad guy is going to be. But he saves James, befriends him, and says, "Hey, I know who you are. I know who you worked for. Guess what? She betrayed me too." James isn't sure if he believes what he hears, but Silva tells him what the movie told us. He was doing what he had to do to get the job done, and for his trouble, he lost part of his face and was locked away, had to go on the run, couldn't trust any former allies because they would still be working for M. James still isn't sure if he believes that M is who Silva says she is, but he leaves James with this: what makes you think you can trust her? You've had people you thought you could trust that you couldn't, and people you thought you couldn't trust that you could. M was the one who gave the order that nearly got you killed. Then the explosion at MI6 happens, and Silva says, "Look, I'm not sure, but I think M is behind this. There's something rotten in your organization, and I'm pretty sure she's at the root of it. These agents who died, maybe she's trying to cover up something she did." James reports back to duty like he did in the movie, but now there's more distance between him and M. His eagerness to get back in the field now makes a little bit more sense, because if what Silva says is true, then he's the only one who can get in close enough to put a stop to it. The movie goes on like it did. The hard drive with the identities of the agents is still out there. James is sent to find it. He finds that it was Silva who stole the hard drive and was responsible for the explosion at MI6. He captures Silva. Don't do the thing where the bad guy wanted to be captured. There's nothing wrong with that trope per se, but I think me watching this movie after Dark Knight, Avengers, and Into Darkness made me never want to see this again. With Silva in custody, M finds out he and James met while he was presumed dead, and here's where M gives her version of the story. Yes, she sold him out to the Chinese government, but he was not just bending the rules for Queen and country. He was preparing to betray England to the Chinese, and in the midst of getting discovered, Silva double-crossed the Chinese to make it look like he was always a patriot, but it didn't work. M sold him out to save the prisoners. Silva escaped imprisonment, or he sold out his homeland to get a lighter punishment from his would-be allies. Then it comes down to James's judgment. Does he believe this guy he just met who saved his life, or this woman he's known for years who gave him his purpose in life? Silva escapes, and he wants to kill M, but he also wants to bring down all of MI6. I guess he wanted to do that in the movie, but it didn't amount to much because Q was there and he solved everything. So Silva calls in his men, and they set a whole bunch of bombs in the new headquarters, and Q has to coordinate defusing them. That would be a little more tense, and it's old school Bond. Plus, it calls back to Q and Bond's tete-a-tete, where Q is all about the new digital age, but this would be more of a manual hands-on job that he would have to do. I also thought the ending was weird, with James taking M to his old home and telling Q to send a false trail for Silva to follow. But then Silva just comes to James's house? I thought the point was you wanted to protect M. Couldn't you have Q send Silva to an empty field where like 200 other agents can close in on him and his men and keep M out of danger? So here, James tells Q to send Silva somewhere else so he can keep M safe. But when Silva saved James earlier, he put a subcutaneous tracker on him. He knows where he is and walks right in to kill M. Boo-hoo, but it's time for James to get back on the horse. I don't know, maybe there's something I'm missing in this movie that made everyone poo their pants when it came out, but I think this would have been an improvement over what we got. But what do you guys think? Let me know, and I'll be talking about something else next week. Until then, have a good one.